So, one of the things that I did recently is since I'm working now, I decided to upgrade my PlayStation Plus account to Premium, and that allows me now to play all kinds of games whenever I want, not just monthly. So, one of the games, of course, I wanted to try was Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Now, I do plan to get the physical game because, as I've mentioned before, with this job I have currently, I don't know if it's going to be a permanent one. Pray that it does become permanent, or if it's just something that ends at the end of November into December or into the beginning of 2024. So anyway, long story short, I decided to download Ratchet and Clank. And the one thing they did say about this, and I looked this up, is even if you change, even if you change uh, your um, your status on your premium account, even if you change it, you know the PS4, PS5 games that you've downloaded to play, you'll still have your save states, you'll still have your trophies and stuff like that. And what that means is, again, if you decide, hey, I want to go back to just essential, or I don't want to have the PlayStation account anymore, you will still excuse me, you will still have those, you know, like I said, that saved data, those trophies and everything that you garnered previously with the Plus. So, so I think that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool. And as far as what I've played so far, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, uh, of course we get it. I mean, a little bit of spoilers. I'm sure people know about this already. But we get we get Rivet, I should say. We get Rivet right off the bat. We get introduced to her right off the bat, and then we get transitioned to a celebration for Ratchet and Clank, which gets interrupted by Dr. Nefarious, and then that leads to the main plot of the story, which is them being in basically Rivet's dimension, and Rivet, finds Clank, picks him up, takes him with her, and then of course we transition back into gameplay for Ratchet, which I think where I'm at right now, you see this on one of the videos I put up, I think right now is the last gameplay. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the last gameplay of Ratchet in the game for that time before you transition over to Rivet. That's just what I'm seeing, because I got to get to a blimp, because right now I'm in the process of getting to a blimp to give to the Phantom, which is one of Ratchet's close friends, um, in his universe. So I'm in the process of doing that, so Ratchet can get a space cruiser to go into space and find his friend. To Anyway, sorry about that. But like I said, basically, that's where I'm at right now with the game. And I will say this about Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. I know a lot of people have praised it, and a lot of people have said that this is just the primary game, the primary game that was brought out to really showcase what the PS5 can do. And I think the primary thing that they're talking about when it comes to showing what the PS5 can do, from a game perspective, physical or digital, is is a very fluid, you know, loading perspective. Because in other games, like previous Ratchet and Clank games, I'm sure of, as well as other games just like them, you'd always get a loading screen, that would come up after you have a cutscene, or you would have a cutscene, and then you'd go right into a fade out, which would serve as a loading screen, and then you'd get a fade in to the gameplay or something like that, or it would be the cut screen, or the cutscene, I should say, would be the cutscene, then a bit of a loading, that, and then right into the gameplay. or some of the cutscenes mainly would not be up to par to the, I guess you could say, the movie quality cinematic, the cutscenes you would get, but would still require loading. Uh, so this game, is touted basically as showing you, what this system is capable of, and it is definitely doing that, even if it's a digital version I'm playing right now because I'm getting it off the PlayStation Plus. But I do plan to get the physical version because, again, I don't know how long I'm going to be doing this job, at my sister's job. Um, but yeah, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, though, I will say this: I like it, and I like it. And here's the thing: if you've been wanting a sequel to the Ratchet and Clank animated film, I think you could consider Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart that sequel. Because if you go here on YouTube and you take out all the gameplay, and all that, you basically get a movie. You basically get a cutscene of a movie and all that. Now I know the gameplay is essential to help, tell the story and everything. But if you take that out and everything, then you'll pretty much get a movie that's animation-wise on par, if not better, than the actual movie itself. And you could say serves somewhat as a sequel, to that movie. But yeah, again, they touted this as showing what the system can do, and it definitely lives up to that. It lives up to the fact that it is basically, that basically, you know, the loading essentially is very fluid. In other words, because what's weird is that when I was playing the game, I'll be doing the gameplay, and then all of a sudden I'll get right into a moment where a cutscene will happen, and it'll happen just smoothly, just like, okay, I just did the gameplay, now here's the cinematic cutscene, and it's like, whoa, what is this? So, because it's surprising, because again, you're not really used to that. So, anyway, that's what really impressed me, about the system and the game, and my finger just hit the mic there. But that's what's really impressed me about the system and the game because you know it's definitely living up to what Sony was touting it to do with in Atomic Games. It was touting it to do when it comes to the PS5. It is smooth transitions. Like the loading time is is not so it's not so tedious. Even with the PS4 and PS4 Pro, you had to have loading times. Here, it's like, you don't. You're just going to continue going. You're going to continue going, and that's the challenge. That's the challenge. So, like, you'll get a cutscene, and then you got to keep going, and all that. Or you'll keep going, and then suddenly you get a cutscene. It is something that I don't think we've seen in games ever. I mean, I've know there's been a lot of games similar to Ratchet and Clank that have tried it, but have never really succeeded very well. This feels like it's finally found that groove. And it just takes the evolution of, the game consoles and, the softwares and all that to make it happen. So I'm glad about that. I'm glad about that, overall. But yeah, Rift Apart, as far as I know right now, just from beginning it, just starting it myself, definitely is living up to everything they say. They really are. And I believe they want to do a Ratchet and Clank series, animated series, or the next Ratchet and Clank story, game, I should say, or even official movie, if you will. To me, you got to have Rivet in there. You've got to have Rivet, and because I think fans have become so in love with. I think fans have become so in love with Rivet that they know you have to go the direction they're expecting you to go in. With her and Ratchet. End of story. Just like a lot of fans look at Spyro in what's her name? Elora. Elora, not Sin, Elora. I think that's the female fawn, if you will. That's people expect the people expect those behind Spyro to make her and make her and him an item instead of him and Cinder. So, obviously fans are expecting something similar with, Ratchet and Rivet. They're expecting something between them to happen. And maybe even something between Kit and Clank. We don't know. But yeah, I think if you do an animated film, even if it's direct to streaming, video, if you will, or if you do an animated feature for theatrical, or if you do a game sequel or even a series, animated series, again, fans are going to expect Rivet to be part of Rivet and Kit to be part of it, and they're going to expect something romantic between Rivet and Ratchet to occur, and probably even Kit and Clank. Because, like I said, the fans are waiting for Spyro and Elora to be an item, outside of Spyro and Cinder, probably more so than Spyro and Cinder. Then obviously fans are expecting this as well with Ratchet and Rivet, but we'll see. And you know what? If you want to do a Rivet and Kit game down the line, which is similar in tone to Ratchet and Clank, but it's now Rivet and Kit, I think fans would be great with that as well. I mean, look what's going on with Adventure Time. They spun off Fionia and Cake, into their own limited series on Max. So if you can get something like that to happen, then obviously you can get something like a Rivet and Kit game going on as well. But overall, so far from what I've played, I like it. I like the animation, really smooth, and I love the smooth, seamless transition from gameplay to cutscenes to gameplay, because it keeps you on your toes. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys. What were your thoughts on Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart when you first played it? How did you feel about it? And until next time, guys, I will talk to y'all later.